old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil.
Elon Musk's defiant stance echoes through the halls of democracy as he refuses to yield to oppressive laws that threaten free speech.
A lot of things that we take for granted here in the United States that don't even exist in Canada. There's no constitutional right to freedom of speech in Canada. I think that's outrageous. Yeah, no, I'm not going to vote for some pro-censorship candidate.
Amidst whispers of Twitter's political bias, Musk highlights the precarious balance between free expression and ideological censorship.
Pretty obvious that free speech is the bedrock of democracy, and if you lack free speech, it's impossible to have a proper democratic process because people are not aware of the facts, or they may be misled. So people have to be able to speak their mind within the context of the law, and without that, you don't have a real democracy.
So, I mean, from the standpoint of some of the people who used to be at Twitter, the people are like, well, it's a big shift to the right. That is correct. It is a shift to the right because everything is to the right if you're far left. Everything is to the right. But how many far left people have actually been suspended or banned from Twitter, now X? Zero.
Musk's attempts to clarify his position fall on deaf ears, drowned out by the cacophony of media distortion and manipulation.
I did subsequently clarify it in replies, but those clarifications were ignored by the media. And essentially, I handed a load to those who hate me, and arguably to those who are anti-Semitic. For that, I'm quite sorry. That was not my intention.
The specter of advertising boycotts looms large, casting a chilling shadow over the landscape of corporate autonomy.
We'll both make our cases,
right,
and we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
What do you think then of the... This goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone. And it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
Allegations of partisan suppression reverberate as Musk exposes the uneven hand of political influence shaping online discourse.
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, could be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats.
Musk warns of the insidious threat posed by government overreach, wielding the power to stifle dissent and manipulate public opinion.
Well, generally you want to be concerned about anything that, any terminology that could fit in a George Orwell novel. And they're not going to, these bills will generally be named in ways that sound innocuous and sound like, sure, why wouldn't anyone support that? But when you look at the details, it's often the opposite of what the title of the bill is. So, or it's just disingenuous. So if the government is given broad powers to define what hate speech is, they can easily define things that support the ruling party. Define hate speech as anything that doesn't support the ruling party effectively. So it is a way for whoever's in charge to cement their power.
Standing firm against attempts to silence dissenting voices, Musk pledges unwavering support for the Irish people's right to speak their minds.
Well, our default approach is to challenge any legislation that infringes upon the people's ability to say what they want to say. So, and we obviously have standing since our European headquarters are in Ireland. So we have a big office in Ireland, a big major presence in Ireland. So we obviously have standing, and we will also, fund the legal fees of the Irish citizens that want to challenge the bill as well. So we'll make sure that if there's an attempt to suppress the voice of the Irish people, that we do our absolute best to defend the people of Ireland and their ability to speak their mind.
Musk unveils the dark underbelly of government interference, violating the sacred tenets of free speech enshrined in the First Amendment.
Yeah, sure. But it's a pretty safe bet that whatever we found in the U.S. files will be the same in Europe. So there was massive government interference in the U.S. Now, the U.S. actually has a constitutional amendment that prohibits the government from attacking free speech. It's literally the First Amendment is the free speech amendment to the Constitution. So it is actually fully legal for the government to impede the free speech of the people in the U.S. Now, Ireland and very few other countries do not have such an amendment. It may not be illegal, actually, what was done, but was there an attempt to suppress free speech during? You can pretty much assume that to be 100% likely. So I would seriously doubt that is any different from the U.S. So yeah, I mean, we do want to sort of move on, and not be constantly dredging up things from old Twitter, fight the battles of today and tomorrow, not the battles of yesterday. But as you mentioned, like the thing we should be concerned about is if the Irish Parliament passes a bill that defines hate speech as whatever they think hate speech is, people should be extremely concerned about that. You're just at the mercy of the ruling party and whatever bureaucrats they put in place, and they can just define something that really is not hate speech as hate speech just because they don't like it.
As the dust settles on Twitter's tumultuous evolution, Musk shines a spotlight on the erosion of governmental control over online platforms.
How do you square the support that you have given? I believe you were at a fundraiser for Vivek Ramaswamy, for example, who says that the climate issue is a hoax, right?
Yeah, I disagree with him on that.
But I would think that would be such a singular issue for you. I would think that the climate issue is such a singular issue for you that actually it would disqualify almost anybody who didn't take that issue seriously.
Well, I haven't endorsed anyone for president. I mean, I wanted to hear what Vivek had to say, because I think some of his things some of the things he says, I think are pretty solid. He's concerned about government overreach, about government control of information. The degree to which old Twitter was basically a sock puppet of the government was ridiculous. It seems to me that there's a very severe violation of the First Amendment in terms of how much government control, how much control the government had over old Twitter, and it no longer does. So there's a reason for the First Amendment. The reason for the First Amendment for freedom of speech is because the people that immigrated to this country came from places where there was not freedom of speech, and they were like, you know what, we got to make sure that that's constitutional, because where they came from, if they said something, they'd be put in prison, or there'd be, something bad would happen to them. So, and freedom of speech, you have to say, when is it relevant? It's only relevant when someone you don't like can say something you don't like, or it has no meaning. And as soon as you sort of, throw in the towel and concede to censorship, it is only a matter of time before someone censors you. And that is why we have the First Amendment.
Elon Musk's revelation unveils the chilling reality of ideological polarization, where differing viewpoints are met with suspicion and scorn.
That's why I say, like San Francisco, Berkeley is a niche ideology. It's hard to say, is there a place that's more far left than San Francisco, Berkeley?
Maybe Portland.
But it's
right there.
It's those two places are the most far left places in America.
Yes.
So from their standpoint, everything is to the right, including moderates.
Right.
So now, if you internalize a far left position, everything seems wrong to you that is not far left.
Right.
And so they naturally oppressed anything that didn't agree with their views. That's why I say that it was an accidental far left information weapon. So, because it's like Silicon Valley attracts the smartest engineers, the smartest sort of technologists and programmers from around the world. They created an information weapon that was then harnessed by the far left, who could not themselves create the weapon, but happened to be co-located where the technologists were.
that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. And I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a
Tell
second.
it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be...
The judge is the public.
And you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake?
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, there are some that are for lots of different reasons. But you think that this is going to... that you have the... This goes to actually the interesting of power and leverage.
Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may.
The technologists generally are moderate, maybe moderate left, but they're not far left. That's why I say San Francisco, Berkeley. It doesn't even extend to South San Francisco or even to Palo Alto. So SF Berkeley is the most far left. Perhaps in a competition with Portland, but I'd say SF Berkeley is more far left even than Portland. Literally in America, we're talking about an area that's maybe a 10-mile radius. And so normally the effects, the negative effects of a far left ideology that would be geographically limited to a 10-mile radius. That's it's small, so any bad effects of that ideology would be geographically constrained under normal circumstances and have been in the past. But when you have basically a technological megaphone, which was Twitter and social media in general, suddenly the far left are handed a megaphone to Earth, an incredibly powerful technology weapon that they themselves could not create, but they happened to be co-located with the technologists who created it by accident.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
How do you think then about the economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
Why?
I understand that, but there's a reality too, right?
Yes. No.
Linda Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, totally. No. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do? It's going to company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say we didn't company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say Elon, that you company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. Right. That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
Could you see yourself voting for President Biden if it's a Biden-Trump election, for example?
I think I would not vote for Biden.
You'd vote for Trump?
I'm not saying I'd vote for Trump, but I mean, this is definitely a difficult choice here. You know,
would you vote for Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley, by the way, wants all social media names to be exposed, as you know.
No, like I said, I mean, I think you have to. Consider that there is a lot of wisdom in these amendments, and there's no Miranda rights in Canada. People think you have the right to remain silent. You don't actually in Canada. So, I'm half Canadian. I can say these things, I suppose. But you just got the freedom of speech is incredibly important. Even when people, and like I said, it's actually especially important. In fact, it is only relevant when people you don't like can say things you don't like. I mean, look, the joke I used to make about old Twitter was it was like giving everyone in the psych ward a megaphone. I'm aware that things can get promoted that are negative beyond the sort of circle of somebody simply screaming crazy things in Times Square, which happens all the time. It's actually pretty rare for something, frankly, that is hateful to be promoted. It's not that it never happens, but it's fairly rare. I would encourage people to look at, for those that use the system, when you look at the feed that you receive, how often is it hateful, and over time has it gotten more or less hateful? And I would say that if you look at the X platform today versus a year ago, I think it is actually much better.
And we are currently circling the event horizon of the black hole that is digital superintelligence, the event horizon. Probably not explicitly, but there's a strong danger of an implicit extinctionist philosophy being programmed into AI.
As we peer into the future of AI, the pace of its advancement leaves us spellbound, surpassing all expectations and defying the bounds of human imagination.
Well, one way that AI could go wrong is if the extinctionist philosophy is programmed into the AI, whether implicitly or explicitly. We're going to go in depth into artificial intelligence, which is potentially the biggest civilizational threat.
The integration of AI into social media platforms has ushered in an era of censorship, silencing voices deemed unsafe and eroding the foundations of free speech.
The rate at which AI is growing it really boggles the mind.
Yeah.
It currently seems as though the amount of compute dedicated to artificial intelligence is increasing by a factor of 10 roughly every 6 months. It's faster than annual, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. So I recently heard today about a gigawatt class AI compute cluster.
And this is despite showing repeated analyses of the system, including third-party analysis of the system, which actually showed that the number of views of hateful content declined. So, the third parties who have all the data analyzed and said, actually, there's less hate speech.
Contemplating the trajectory of digital superintelligence feels akin to staring into a vast abyss, where the unknown looms large and the consequences remain shrouded in uncertainty.
We'll have the sort of AGI singularity. Sometimes digital superintelligence is called like a singularity, like a black hole, because just like with a black hole, it's difficult to predict what happens after you pass the event horizon of a black hole. It's really staggering, and for sure. So I'm just trying to give a sense of scale. I've never seen anything move this fast. Any technology, this is the fastest moving thing. In terms of aiming for AI safety, my best guess of my sort of primitive biological neural net is that we should aim for maximum truth seeking and curiosity. That's my gut feel for how to make AI as safe as possible.
Amidst this whirlwind of technological progress, the quest for AI safety becomes paramount, calling for an unwavering commitment to truth-seeking and curiosity-driven exploration.
Neuralink is necessarily moves slower than AI because whenever you put a device in a human, you have to be incredibly careful. So I think it's not clear to me that the Neuralink will be ready before AGI. I think AGI is probably going to happen first.
Organizations like the ADL have morphed into activist entities, straying far from their intended purpose and wielding influence beyond their mandate.
We're at a very interesting juncture in the world from a technology standpoint. If you say there's so many things happening, if you were to plot the various types of technology on a chart, the modern era, and I'd say even just like really the last 20 years, certainly the last 100 years from the dawn of human civilization, the growth of technology just looks like a wall. Technology is improving at sort of a hyper exponential rate, and we obviously want to make sure that the technology is something that benefits humanity and to the greatest extent possible.
While AI hurtles forward at breakneck speed, endeavors like Neuralink proceed with caution, mindful of the complexities and ethical considerations inherent in merging technology with the human body.
So I'm trying not to be sort of a scaremonger or something. But when you're talking about having something that is an intelligence far in excess of the smartest human on Earth, you have to say, at that point, who's in charge? Is it the computers or the humans? And there's some interesting ratios that I think are quite profound, like one of them being the ratio of digital to biological compute. So if you take also all the human brains and then all the computer circuits, and you say, what's that ratio? The ratio of digital to biological compute is increasing dramatically every year because the population of Earth is fairly static, but the output of silicon is dramatically increased. So basically at a certain point, the percentage of compute that will be biological is very small. And anyway, some of these technologies, and I'm a technologist, and I bear some responsibility for the creation of artificial intelligence, at least, a little bit. And I think we just want to make sure that we're guiding things to a technological, a positive future and reduce the probability of a negative one.
The exponential growth of technology demands our vigilance, ensuring that its benefits align with the greater good of humanity.
I mean, it's sort of a funny thing. Like if you assume like a best case AI scenario, imagine if you're the AI and you're you just want the human to tell you what it wants. Just please spit it out. But it's speaking so slowly like a tree. Okay, like trees communicate. Okay, if you watch a tree, like a sped up a version of a tree growing, it's actually communicating. It's communicating with the soil. It's trying to find the sunlight. It's reacting to other trees and that kind of thing very slowly. But from a tree standpoint, it's, not that slow. So what I'm saying is we don't want to be a tree. That's the idea behind a high bandwidth neural interface is even when the AI desperately wants to do good things for us, so that we can actually communicate several orders of magnitude faster than we currently can.
Digital superintelligence might be the most significant technology that humanity ever creates. And it has the potential to be more dangerous than
we tread a precarious path, wary of the potential for AI to embody existential threats, such as the extinction movement, underscoring the need for conscientious oversight and regulation.
I think generally it would be a good idea to have some kind of AI regulatory agency, and you start off with a team that gathers insight to get a maximum understanding. Then you have some proposed rulemaking, and then eventually you have regulations that are put in place. And this is something we have for everything that is potential danger to the public. So if it is, if we're in administration, we've got aircraft with the FAA and rockets, there's anything that is a danger to the public over time, we have learned, often the hard way, after many people have
This is a staggering amount of compute, and there are many such things. That's just the biggest one I've heard of so far. But there's a 500 megawatt installation happening. There's multiple 100 megawatt installations in the works. It's not even clear to me what you do with that much compute, because when you actually add up all human data ever created, you really just run out of things to train on quite quickly. If you've got maybe 20 or 30,000 H100s, you can train on
synthetic data.
Almost everything. Yeah. You have to have synthetic data, because for something well under 100,000 H100s, you can train on all human data ever created, including video.
As AI outpaces human advancement, the growing chasm between technological progress and societal evolution raises concerns about the balance of power in an AI-dominated world.
So you've got your limbic system, your sort of basic drives, your cortex, which is the thinking and planning, and then you have a tertiary layer, which is your computers, your devices, your phones, laptops, all the servers that exist, the applications. And in fact, I think probably a lot of people have found that if you leave your cell phone behind,
take it away. Yeah.
If you
get panicky.
If you forget your cell phone, it's like missing limb syndrome. You've like where'd that thing go? Losing your cell phone is like missing limb syndrome. So because your cell phone is an extension of yourself. The limitation is bandwidth. So the rate at which you can input, or I should say output information into your phone or computer is very slow. So with a phone, it's really just the speed of your thumb movements. And with, best case scenario, you're a speed typist,
on a keyboard, but even that data rate is very slow. We're talking about tens, maybe hundreds of bits per second, whereas a computer can communicate in trillions of bits per second. And this is admittedly somewhat of a, Hail Mary shot or whatever. Long.
Elon Musk's apprehension about the future of AI is matched only by his curiosity, as he grapples with the dual possibilities of salvation and annihilation that AI presents for humanity.
The danger with programming morality and with an explicit morality program is what is sometimes referred to as the Waluigi problem. If you create Luigi, you automatically create Waluigi by inverting Luigi.
Sure.
So I think we have to be careful about programming in an arbitrary morality. But if we focus on maximizing truth with acknowledged error, that's probably, I think that's the way to maximize safety and also to have the AI be curious. Because I think that, Earth is much more interesting to an advanced AI with humans on it than without humans.